all of your views.
Now, do you agree with breastfeeding in public? Today, a group of mums took to the streets of Brighton to declare their right to do so. The demonstration comes after one mum was told it was unpleasant and to cover up. Charlotte Wilkins has our report.
We're told that breast is best, but many women say they are made to feel awkward about feeding their baby in public. Today, a flash mob was formed in Brighton to try and stop the stigma.
I experienced quite some harassment in a cafe last week where I was ganged up on by 5 customers who took objection to my feeding. I disagreed with them, and then we got into a bit of an argument, and they really did end up sort of picking on me.
Claire isn't the only one who suffered prejudice while feeding her child. Back in August, we told you about TRACEY HALPIN, who was told to stop feeding her baby at a local swimming pool. TRACEY hopes today's event will stop other mums going through the same experience.
If it means that one mum doesn't get approached because we enlighten one person to the fact that it's not right, then it's on its job.
It's against the law to discriminate against any woman who wishes to nurse her baby in public, but negative comments and looks can sometimes put women off.
It's sort of looked upon as a bit of a shameful thing to do, to feed your child in public, whereas in other places in the world it's not.
Although it can still be a problem abroad. It's been reported today that a woman in Washington was accused of indecent exposure for feeding her baby in a public building.
You're not allowed to breastfeed your child here. This is a public corridor. And I said, what? You know, what do you mean? I'm not allowed to breastfeed here? You're saying this is a public corridor? And I was shocked. And then she said to me, and this is indecent exposure.
Flash mobs are large groups of people who suddenly congregate, usually to perform, publicise or raise awareness of a cause. This version certainly attracted a lot of attention. But what do passers-by really think about breastfeeding in public?
I haven't got a problem with it at all. Absolutely natural thing to do.
Yeah, it's fine. Don't have a problem with that.
Many of the mums here today have told me how vulnerable they feel when breastfeeding, but they hope by staging this event they'll show women and other people that there's nothing to be ashamed of when breastfeeding in public. Charlotte Wilkins in Brighton for Meridian Tonight.
Well, the day's news now, and the A2 in Kent had to be closed earlier today after a crash near Swanscombe. A man in his early 40s suffered head and chest injuries after his car hit the central reservation near Bean. The accident happened on the coastbound carriageway. The driver was airlifted to hospital, but both carriageways had to be closed.
New intelligent water meters that can detect leaks are being installed in thousands of properties across Kent and Sussex. Southern Water believe they will save more than 5 million litres of water a day. They're being put in 500,000 homes across the south and the southeast. The meters have a special leak alarm. Southern Water says a fifth of leaks occur in homeowners' pipes.
Now, animal lovers are celebrating the birth of a rare monkey in East Sussex. The 1-month-old Columbus monkey is the first to be bred at Drusilla's Park in Alfriston. He was born a few weeks ago, but it will take him around 6 months before he develops the black and white stripes of his parents.
Now, of course, Christmas is a time for families, but spare a thought for our troops serving in Afghanistan, far away from their loved ones.
Well, to make their lives just a little bit more festive, the troops are being sent special parcels from home.
In Sussex, the Territorial Army has teamed up with the Lions charity to pack up boxes of goodies, as Andy Dickinson now reports.
At the Territorial Army Centre in Brighton, members of the 3rd Battalion Princess of Wales's Royal Regiment are doing their bit to spread some Christmas cheer by putting together these parcels of treats to be sent out to troops in Afghanistan. A reminder that although their fellow soldiers are thousands of miles from home, they're far from forgotten.
We've had a number of contacts back from our guys over there, and they are really, really pleased with it. They're coming back off patrol where it's getting now towards winter with the temperatures dropping. Coming back and getting these parcels is great.
The TA has been working with the Worthing Lions to gather all the goodies for the boxes this year. They say they've had huge support from the local community.
The trolleys at the supermarkets have been filled by the local residents, and it's been a really, really good effort by all concerned.
What? They wouldn't. That's true.
What? How do you
Teasing
know?
him. He loves
Maybe
dogs.
just
He
haven't
loves
been
dogs.
covered by a television crew.
I'm teasing you, and you rose
I love
to the bait
cats as well, and yes,
you
they are
rose to the
very
bait
clever,
absolutely
correct.
beautifully. Now, if you'd been Christmas shopping in Brighton yesterday, then you may have witnessed a rather unusual sight. A group of mums breastfeeding in the street.
They were protesting for the right to breastfeed in public after one of them was reduced to tears by customers in a cafe who criticised her for nursing her baby.
Now, the mum in question, Claire Jones-Hughes, joins us now. So what happened then? What was the incident that sparked this protest?
Well, I was feeding Callie on my own in a cafe that I go to very regularly to feed, and a group of customers that were together as they were leaving said, one of them made a point to tell me that she'd found it very unpleasant to watch me feed, and that I hadn't been discreet and I should have covered up more. And in my view, I was, so I defended myself, and which meant they all sort of joined in at that point and decided to tell me that, what I should have done. I used a towel to drape over me and things like that. So, yeah, it left me quite distraught, to say the least.
I mean, I can imagine it's horribly upsetting, but I suppose, with this, you have to look at what they felt they'd experienced. So you might have thought you were being discreet, but how discreet were you? I mean, I don't suggest you breastfeed right now, but just give us a little bit of a demonstration of what you...
Yeah, I mean, basically what many women like me do is we layer up. So I've got a jumper on and another top on underneath, and then I would pull down the top and pull up the jumper and then make a little pocket so that you can then use, once you've got yourself the baby latched on.
So you couldn't see the breast, but you could perhaps see the baby latching onto the breast.
You probably would see that latching on and off, but I mean, like most women, I'm not so keen on showing all in public myself. So that it is a personal choice, and so I use the jumper to sort of surround once we're comfortable. And
I'm assuming you're not standing up.
No.
Announcing, saying, "This is listen, I'm just going to hoist my jumper up now, pull the arm down and do some breastfeeding." I mean, the whole thing's quite discreet. You don't want to draw attention to yourself breastfeeding anyway, do you?
Not really, no, because it's something where you need to be quite relaxed. You need, I was in there minding my own business, having a spot of breakfast, a coffee, and, with my baby just going about my business, I needed to feed her,
I mean, some people have to say don't like seeing breastfeeding in public. We've had lots of fours and support of you this morning. Here's a couple of not so keen. Emily said breastfeeding shouldn't be done in public. It's a private thing. I wouldn't like to see it. Laura Bean Smith says there's nothing wrong with it. However, there can be times where a more private place would be appropriate. If you're in the middle of something where everyone's running around, then it isn't very comfortable. But I guess for you, part of the problem is there isn't always an option.
No, there isn't. There isn't. And I appreciate that people do have views about it, and I think many women do sort of like to be discreet for various reasons and out of consideration of other people. But the fact is that many of us lead very busy lives. I have another 3-year-old child, and I can't always choose when I want to feed my baby. And would you like to hear my baby scream and cry? I don't think that's very nice.
And there is a
either.
negative to this, of course, isn't there? Which you're obviously quite a strong person, but some people might be so put off by this incident that they give up breastfeeding, which we know isn't good for the baby.
Yeah, I mean, with my first child, I was definitely very nervous, and I could say it definitely had an impact on how successful we were with breastfeeding. So that was the reason for yesterday, was to give women confidence.
And the good news is that proprietors and managers of a lot of establishments like the one you frequent are absolutely fine with it all. So,
yeah, keep letting us know what you think, though. It's an interesting debate. Thanks very much. And she's obviously gorgeous. She's kind of stolen the show a bit, I'm afraid, grinning at the camera while we've been chattering away. But she is the reason that we're talking about it all in the first place, so that's fine. Lovely to speak to you this morning. Still to come on Daybreak. Martin Lewis is here with his essential online shopping tips for those of you who've left getting your presents to the last minute. And that's something I don't really like seeing in public.